It's Meet the Writers from the Barnes & Noble studio on BN.com. I'm Steve Bertrand. Dan Brown is back with The Lost Symbol, and Dan Brown is here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You know, reading your books, it's obviously people write about what they like, but it seems like symbols and history is something that you would be following pretty closely even if you weren't writing about it.
No, without a doubt. I'm passionate about all things arcane interest me, secret societies, symbols, and certainly I'd be studying it if I weren't writing.
So when you're putting all of this together, though, it must take quite a lot of research. And research, and hard to find research, it seems to me. I mean, these things aren't easily discovered.
Right. There's a reason this book took six years to write. Enormous amounts of research, and a lot of it is if you're researching secret societies or abstruse science or all things ancient, it could take a little extra time.
So in this book, we learned quite a lot about the Freemasons. Yes. What drew you to them?
You know, it's funny, we live in a world where people are killing each other over whose version of God is correct. And the Masons are a group where you know, they'll invite in Muslims, Jews, Christians, and people who don't even know what to call their religion, and let them really worship together in a way. And that to me is very admirable.
It strikes me too that the Masons, it's something that everyone thinks they know something about, but probably none of us really does. I mean, I didn't know much about the Masons until I read the book.
Right, well that's true. I mean, there are Masonic lodges in almost every small town in America. And we drive by them and we sort of think, well, that's a bunch of men who dress up and do something. I'm not sure what it is. Mm-hmm. And actually what they do is fascinating. That's the topic of the book.
Are they as active now as they ever were?
No, they've diminished in number somewhat. And yet they still are quite active, and I'm hoping growing more active. What's
their reaction to the story, your book?
Yeah, on one hand, they're very happy in that they are portrayed with some respect and some reverence, and I have great admiration for their philosophies. On the other hand, there are some Masons who are less enthusiastic about the fact that I shared
some of their secrets.
Some of their secrets.
I read too that you did some of your research undercover.
Yeah.
Because you were afraid of being discovered, that they would shut you out, or what?
Well, a lot of people were trying to figure out what I was writing about. There were all sorts of people postulating as to what this book was about, and I couldn't very easily walk in and ask all the key questions that I needed to know and have somebody just send an email saying, hey, this is what he's writing about.
Peter Solomon, Robert Langdon's mentor, plays prominently in this story. How different were the real Masons, the Freemasons, our forefathers, from Peter Solomon's version of them?
Oh, I mean, I think they were very similar in that this is an ancient society that is very strictly traditional. I mean, there's still no women admitted. Mm-hmm. This is a very traditional organization, and over time, ritualistically has not changed a lot.
They were very influential among the forefathers of the Freemasons.
Yes.
Would this country be different had they not been Masons?
Oh, sure, I think so. The fundamental tenet of Freemasonry is one of universality, open-mindedness, reverence for really all types of spirituality. Mm-hmm. And as we know, this country was founded on freedom of religion, and that may not have been one of the underlying tenets of the country had there not been Masonic influence.
A lot of things to learn in this book, and one is the word circumpunct. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, circumpunct.
What exactly is that?
Well, that is a symbol. It is a dot with a circle around it, and it is arguably the oldest and most universal of symbols that have survived to modern times. Everything from the singularity to the all-seeing eye. It has many meanings.
And it is in Washington. It exists.
It is.
When people read your books, I think they wonder what's true and what's not, which must be a little frustrating to you.
No, I think it's half the fun.
You're okay with it. It is.
Yeah, well, that is part of the way that I write. I write in a very specific, intentional way to blend fact and fiction, and that's part of the fun.
Sure, but you work very hard to include real facts. So I suspect you don't want the reader to think, well, he made this one up.
No, of course you don't. And the reality in this book, all the science is real, all the locations are real, the Masonic history is real. There was no Peter Solomon, mm-hmm. And there was no Zachary Solomon, and there was no Robert Langdon. And so these characters and their backstories are all fiction. But the rest of it, there really is a museum support center that has a giant squid. You can go and see it.
Is there really locked away in the CIA vaults
yes.
a description of was it the sculpture, correct?
Yes, it's a description of crypto. Actually, it's not a description of cryptos. It is the clear text to the code that is cut into and inscribed on cryptos. And it is known only to the director of the CIA.